I'll call the meeting to order. Mike, would you like to do the roll call?
Yeah. Sam Bossum,
Here.
Cheryl Tucker, Michael Storino, here. Sarah Conti,
Here.
Donna Knoxon,
Here.
Christine Murphy,
Here.
Ryan Pazar.
Here.
Excellent. Are there any public comments on agenda items? There's no public here tonight. All right. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay, no amendments. Approval of the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No nays. Minutes are approved. Moving on to department staff updates. Recreational Division Assistant Director Gina Rossinelli.
Okay, last month of March, we had 15 senior programs, 301 participants. We held spring camp over spring break. We had 60 registrations during the week of March 25th through the 28th. Last year, we had 55. So 60 this year, 55 last year, so that number is higher this year. We are in the process of seeking counselors and other staff for summer camp, as well as aquatics. So we have staff that are attending the Willowbrook High School job fair tomorrow in an attempt to recruit. We have 6 returning camp counselors from last year. And we opened up registration early this year, and we have, as of Monday, yesterday, 39 people registered. Normally, we don't open registration this early, but we were prepared and we thought, why not? So that should help with numbers. The spring soccer games begin Saturday, April 13th. Soccer practices started last week. We have 181 participants. Last year, we had 168. And then the year before that, we had 127.
On my pen around.
So numbers are going up. That's good. The board approved the pool pass rates that we talked about at the last meeting. Those go on sale May 1st. Let's see, as of April 8th, we have 33 registered for Mariners swim team. Last year, at the same time, we had 19. I don't know if anybody came down Addison Road, but we have a fence. The fence along Addison Road has a banner on it talking about accepting applications for lifeguards. And we also have the jobs advertised on the village's website. We have 16 lifeguards that are returning from last year, 8 returning pool ambassadors, 4 returning Learn to Swim aides, 1 returning pool manager, and 4 returning swim coaches. We currently have 8 people registered for the April-May lifeguarding class that begins April 28th at the College of DuPage. Last year we had 7, the year before that we had 5. So that number is up a little as well. Moving into spring events, we had 119 participate in the egg hunt on March 23rd. Last year we had 120, so we're off by 1. We ran for the second year the hunt for the golden egg. The week of March 25th, 25 eggs were hidden, 20 were returned. Last year, 30 eggs were hidden, 28 were returned. Those eggs were hidden in the ICC playground, the Prairie Path Playground, Rotary Park, North Terrace Park, and Westmore Park. Princess Ball is Friday, April 12th at 6 starts at 6, goes to 8:30. 68 participants are registered. The event was held in early March last year, and we had 96 registered. So we might want to take a look at that and see if it has something to do with the change in where the date falls. We have mom and son date night that will be held on May 6th, so we have a little bit of a ways. We have 20 registered now. And last year, we had 62 for that event. Summer events, we sent out last Friday letters to, I think, 201 businesses asking if they would like to be sponsors for summer festival or Thursday night concerts. So those went out, I believe, on Friday. We always put one in the mail to ourselves to see how long it takes us to get it, and I think we got that one back yesterday. So that would lead me to believe that the other businesses in town, probably got them yesterday or within a couple days of yesterday. The summer program guide is in its second draft form with the designer. And that's it. That is my report.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Donna?
I have 3. Do we ever find with, like, the lifeguards, like, they cycle out, like, they do it for 4 years, and then it's like we have a lull, or is it pretty consistent?
Usually, when we have lifeguards that started with us at 15, they either stay with us through high school or sometimes even into college. But when those guards leave, then we get new lifeguards
So it's
in.
an even flow.
Right.
And we talked about perhaps going to Glenbard versus York and Willowbrook for a career night.
Well, we would never pass up Willowbrooks because that's where
Right.
we are not, as far as I know, we are not going to York. And Sue, who handles the aquatics, is on leave right now, so I'm communicating with her a couple times a week, but not with the same.
Incidental stuff.
Yeah, so I will double check with her. The last night, when we talked, there was no information available about Glenbard East Career Day, inviting, other people from other communities. That's to the best of my knowledge, and I can double check that and get back to you.
Okay. And perhaps I missed it. Was the egg hunt advertised on social media?
Yes.
Okay, then I overlooked it.
Yeah, I mean, we had 119, we had 120 last year, so it's,
In our program books, I'd read a post that we're one of the ones that have our books out later, and I don't know if there's any truth to that or what. But do we know, like, when other people release their program books, like, let's say they all shoot for April 1st, would it be in our best interest to maybe shoot for March 15th or something next year to kind of be the first one out of the gate?
yeah, it's tough to do like middle of March when you're talking about June.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean,
July
like, maybe if
and
theirs is
August.
May, just kind of get them by, other villages by a week or two.
I am aware that some of the communities are doing camp advertising earlier, and that was one of the reasons that we thought we would try that, even though the brochure's not out. We sent out constant contact and so forth. So, yeah, it's a tough call. I think what we probably will do most likely is pick and choose the things that we want to release early, so that the information in the brochure itself is as accurate as it can be versus doing it so far in advance.
Okay.
Yeah, going on what she said, I think a lot of people plan their vacations, around that stuff, so it
Yeah.
might be helpful. And I did see, like, on, like, the local, like, social media pages that people were asking for early camp registration, so I think that was really good.
Yeah, and Ashley, who is the supervisor that handles camp, she said the same thing.
Yeah.
She said, I really would like to do
Yeah.
this early. I'm like, well, let's do it then. So, we put together she put together the constant contact, and, we had all the information because it's, going back and forth with the, designer, so
Yeah,
we released it early, and,
it's awesome.
yeah, we're getting people to register now.
To go back to the lifeguard thing that you said about how frequently people come back, there's an incentive for like lifeguards to come back year after year, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly a pay increase, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if there was like, if like you come back like every year to like encourage them to come back year after year, not just,
Yeah, so
1 year,
when they start with us, they learn about kind of how our lifeguarding employment sort of works. And because then, you're a lifeguard, and then we have positions that have a little bit more responsibility and that pay a little bit more, and we have, learn to swim opportunities, certifications. So yes, there is definitely an incentive to return.
That's nice.
People, many of them want to be a manager at some point, so, if we get a lifeguard that comes back a couple years and maybe just isn't quite ready to be a manager, we'll have them shadow a manager and, do, like, be an assistant manager and help out to prepare them for the following year when, they might be more ready.
Wasn't there an incentive too that the village pays half of their certification also?
Yes. Yes. And normally they pay, the lifeguards will pay for their recertification, but we were able to put that in the budget, so that's not going to cost them, the money to recertify, because every 2 years you have to be recertified.
When they recertify, is it like additional training or just to make sure that they have the same skills?
No,
Yes,
it's additional training because they have to, prove that they can do all of what's required, to pass the class.
But what I'm saying is, do they have additional skills? Like, they get certified as a lifeguard, but is it like a continuing education is what I'm saying?
Well, it's not
just making sure
continuing
that
and
they
and
still
that
have
they're
the skills.
learning different things. The Red Cross has a specific requirement for people to be certified. And I think actually they're in the process of revamping that next year, so it will change a little bit. But when you come back year after year, if the Red Cross hasn't done anything to change the requirements for certification, you're required to do the things that you were taught.
Initially.
Yeah, initially.
But if they put in there that you needed a continuing education, then that's part of the recertification?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I do have one question.
Sure.
A few years ago, I think you had what you called like a junior lifeguard training or class, kind of as a feeder program for lifeguards. Is that still something that you consider, or did it just not pan out as far as resulting in lifeguards?
We didn't get a ton of response to that. So really what the junior lifeguard program is they got to shadow then lifeguards.
Okay.
And learn what the job was like and, what's entailed and so forth. I think the last maybe 2 times we've tried to run it, we didn't get a lot of interest.
Okay.
So this year, aside from, all the other things that make it the greatest summer job ever, we have new guard chairs for them to sit in. So those have been replaced now I think, to have the entire chair replaced. This is the first time that that's happened, and I've been here for more than 20 years, but in the 20 years I've supervised aquatics, we've changed out the seat a couple times, but now we have new chairs, so that's exciting to me, and I think exciting to them as well.
Excellent. You may have stolen some of Brian's thunder, but,
I don't have
I'm sorry.
anything, no.
Oh, Christine.
oh, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
you
Can
I
want to talk
sneak
about
one
the
in?
chairs? I'm sorry.
I would just like to sneak one in before we move on to Brian. And it's, again, has to do with the paper guides and the seasonal brochures.
Yeah.
I had some thoughts, we've talked a little bit about them, And I was thinking that it would be beneficial to put them, they are already at the library, but I thought it would be beneficial to put them where the Villa Park Review pickups would be, because the library does not charge for the Villa Park Review if you go there and pick it up. I thought perhaps it would get more traction there. Well, what I found was that they're already there. So there are 2 spots at the library that are beneficial to put the brochures, from my perspective, and that would be on the shelves upstairs on the 2nd floor where those Villa Park Reviews are, and also down by the door, by the front door on the Turney spindle, where we have all of the other community information. So I think we're covered as far as where they're located. However, when I was there, we were completely out of them.
Okay.
There was a placeholder with one to show where they would be, but all of the extra copies had been taken. So I'm not familiar with the process for restocking that, but if there is a process, perhaps we want to keep an eye on it and fill
Was
it.
it recently?
In the
'Cause we
last 2
restocked it.
weeks,
Oh, okay, okay.
week or two.
And which location were you referencing? The library?
The Villa Park Library specifically, well, both locations. Upstairs on the 2nd floor, they have shelves with the newspapers. Particularly, the Villa Park Review is restocked every Thursday, and I know a lot of people enjoy getting a copy of that, and they don't charge there, whereas if you were to pick that review up at other locations, they do charge you.
Okay.
So that probably gets more traction. And there was a placeholder for our brochure, which I thought was wonderful because I wasn't familiar that we had been putting them there.
The one with the QR code on it?
It was the full book. I mean, it was the entire
You said there was a.
paper brochure.
Oh, so they weren't out completely?
They were out with the exception of the one that was the placeholder. I don't know how many started there, so
Okay.
it's hard to say they were out. I don't know how many we had placed there to begin with. So there was one, but I would think that that would get a lot of traction because I would think people are going in there to pick up the review.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know how many we would put there. If we would like to put more, I think that people would take them. And also the spindly information rack by the door that says community events. There's lots of empty containers where we can put a few out there as well.
So last meeting, we talked about the brochures, and I said that we have 300 printed, and the only time we ever run out is summer. So we're going to print 500 this summer and see if that takes us through the whole summer without running out. So, and when you set a placeholder, the last time we put brochures out at the library and Village Hall, and we made a flyer that's the size of an 8.5 by 11 sheet that says, this is where, Villa Park Parks and Recreation seasonal program guide is. If you're seeing this, that means there are none left, please contact, and let us know. Or, you can scan this QR code so you can see it online if you'd like, and you can scan this QR code if you want to register. So we just had put out some additional information, so I was.
No, it was an actual copy
Yeah,
of
okay,
the
so it's still
brochure.
there. Okay,
Upstairs. Now, I didn't see any on the spindly by the door.
Okay.
And I think I saw multiples at the Village Hall by the front door on the table.
okay. Yes,
Can I piggyback on what Christine was saying? Perhaps an idea would be to have them on a table at the senior luncheons, because I think elderly people are a little bit more apprehensive of looking online, the computer things. I think they would be more visual if they had something in front of them to choose from instead of scrolling.
are you referencing our senior lunches here?
Yes.
Okay, so Janet, who oversees our senior area, really knows the participants very, very well, and will go out and make sure that they get copies of whatever they need. I mean, her trips are almost all sold out. So though that group of people is getting the information by word of mouth and, a paper copy, whether it's a full brochure or just the area related to seniors. But sure, we certainly can
I
put
mean,
more
like
out.
maybe half a dozen or something for someone that may be new to the luncheon, that
Sure.
perhaps she doesn't know, just, I mean.
Yeah,
Well, and you can put them on the table by where, is it Judy that sits there?
Yes.
Traditionally? You could put some there, and I am going to suggest that Janet has an email distribution list that she sends information out to those seniors as well, which is interesting because your first thought would be perhaps not as many seniors would be on the email. But that would be something you could check with her on, because I thought I heard her tell me at one time that when there are senior events coming, she does have a relatively large communication list of people that she reaches out to on a regular basis.
I mean, some people, she just automatically knows that when the brochure comes out, she makes sure that they get the copies of the pages that have the programs on them that she knows that they're interested in. So she doesn't necessarily give out a whole brochure each time, but she will give them color copies of the pages that, you know, have the programs that that group of people would be interested in. One last thing, I just wanted to let you know after last meeting, we're working on trying to do some swims for moms and tots
Oh, you
before
guys are
12 o'clock.
sweet. Cool.
Yeah, so we're talking about that, trying to figure out what the best days and best times will be, but that's something that we're working on.
Fun, thank you.
Might not be in the brochure, because we don't have all the details worked out, but
Just put it
you
on the
will
Facebook
definitely-
page, I'll see it, yeah.
Okay,
Cool,
great.
thank you.
Any other questions? I'll move on to Parks, Buildings, and the Grounds Division. Brian?
All right, thanks. Some current completed projects over at the Public Works Green Garage, big garage on Home Avenue. Staff completed the installation of the new LED bay lighting with motion sensors in there. It was basically our last facility improvement project for the winter or whatever, so we made it through that. Sports field prep. We've prepared the soccer fields for the start of practices and games beginning this week. Fields were marked out and striped at Lions and Twin Lakes. The goals are set up at Twin Lakes as well. The nets are installed, everything's anchored down and ready to go. Staff have set up the batting cages at Jefferson for use. We identified when we were setting it up, though, that the nets, they need to be replaced. We made some temporary repairs so they can still use it as they normally would, but we're in the process of ordering the new nets. Staff have started baseball field prep for the season on village fields. With recent rains and oddly snows, we haven't been able to get onto the fields yet with like our machines and stuff to rake and open them and kind of get through that. But we intend to this week. We've started a lot of the maintenance and prep work. We just haven't gotten our tractor on there. But we'll get on there and rake and grade them out. Each season, we do our routine preseason field maintenance. Involves, not always limited to, but includes inspecting home plates, replacing them as needed, inspecting the fences and repairing them as needed, measuring the base length and adjusting them. Player area maintenance on the bleachers, benches, repairing them, adding limestone, grading out those player areas. Turf inspections and repairs, raking and grading of the infield dirt areas. Weed and vegetation removal, removing the leaves, debris, put out trash cans, and then we grade and add limestone to the warning track. So it's a pretty extensive process. I think they've gotten through just about 2 of the fields with everything except for like the infield work, so we're hopefully get through the other ones. Youth baseball intends to have their opening day on April 27th. We've been working with youth baseball and the school on agreements with each of them. We haven't formally entered into anything yet, but I have heard that apparently at the board meeting last night, the agreements were approved on the village side. So I'm hopeful that we can formalize that with signatures on both ends, and hopefully we'll be in a good spot before opening day. So hopefully soon that'll work out. We're working on our spring season preps in our parks as well. Working to make sure that we have an annual April list that we work on, making sure that the parks are clean, landscaping is freshened up and mulched, the winter stuff's put away, trash cans, picnic tables go out, sport fields ready, and all of our equipment for the season is ready. Also working at Jefferson Pool to get the pool ready. We're evaluating the pool for repairs, cleaning up the pool and deck areas. We purchased all new umbrellas. I forget the last two colors you selected. But
You for- Oh,
I forget what they were. All the umbrellas now will be replaced. There were two large umbrellas that we hadn't gotten yet, which we did this season, that are on the way now. So we'll have the 3 large ones and then the 3, I think it's 3, right? 3 small ones in the concession area
Yeah.
will all be replaced starting this season. We're also working with a company right now called IPS. They rejuvenate our water slide. Each season, they were the company that helped us do the initial gel coat on the slide. They come out each year and they do what is it's like an acrylic sealant. It helps moisturize and protect that gel coat. But roughly every 5 or 7 years, they have to come back and kind of re-gel coat, reseal, clean everything up, caulk some of the joints, and then redo that acrylic seal just to make sure everything stays. So they're out again this year doing that right now. I think the past 2 days they've been out there, so hopefully they're close to that as well. The party trailer, we have officially purchased and picked up our second party trailer. So we have it. We've ordered all the items that will go in it. A lot of them have started to arrive. We're working to get it set up with everything, everything put in, ready to go, stickered on the outside, all that stuff, and ready before its first rental, which I don't exactly know when that one. There is a weekend so far that's coming up that is double booked, that it will go out, but I don't remember that date. Sorry.
Pacific blue and forest green.
Pacific blue and forest green were the last.
The Funbrella colors.
Thank you.
I guess we're a party town, we need to,
We got a lot of
We
cool
are.
stuff
Yeah.
going on, yeah. So the party trailer, the first original party trailer for us has its first rental actually this weekend. So it seems like it'll be a nice weekend for whoever has it, but
it's gonna be a good weekend.
yes. The mowing contract, we have a mowing contract for some various areas in the village. Park and Recs is now working with a new contractor starting this year, Langton Group, for the mowing and landscaping services for North Avenue median mowing, Ardmore Avenue landscape beds and mowing, Metra landscaping beds and mowing, the fire station mowing, and the Great Western Trail landscaping beds, the couple right behind like where the depot is. Facility assessments. Kluber has updated and provided us back with what we hope is the final draft of this facility assessment. We're in the review process now. If it's finalized, it may potentially be on the board agenda for the COW in May. So following that, then we can get it out to everyone and go from there. Upcoming projects, Lufkin Park Improvement Project. Parks is going to be working with the contractor to run conduit and wire for the electrical services that'll be out there, as well as installing the pathways. So we're hopeful to begin these items in the next few weeks. We're not exactly sure on the timing with some of the stuff they're doing out there, but we're trying to get out there soon to work on that. Our mowing operations are also likely to begin in the next week, if we can make 2, but we're getting close. And then we're working to get the pool cleaned up, ready, and filled as soon as possible, and then coordinate some trainings for our staff and pool staff with we have a couple of new systems, the acid feed system, a couple of new controllers. We put in a couple of new pumps. We just want to make sure everybody's ready for the pool season, so That was all I had.
Questions? Who's first? Christina?
I just have a comment. Once again, I'd like to advocate, if I could, please, for if the supply is available for at least one or more picnic tables and a bike rack next to Villa Perk. The new coffee shop on Villa Avenue is at, and I believe that's Rotary Park over there. That would be wonderful and
It's,
appreciated
Rotary
by-
Playground, I think, right? Yeah, on the
Yeah.
Prairie Path?
Yes.
Yeah.
East side of Villa, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right on the corner there. That's, I believe, Central and Villa. That would be wonderful, and I'm very excited about our second party trailer. That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure, yeah.
The party trailer, when do you start getting reservations for that, like spring?
We've already gotten a bunch.
I think,
Yeah.
did we accept reservations just after, it was after January 1st, I thought.
Correct, yeah, we used to take them from, same as like park rentals, we'd take it from like May to, through October. We've since opened it up to just be available throughout the year. So, yeah, we'll
So
take them.
that second trailer is really gonna come in handy.
Yep, yeah, we started and we actually had one, was that meadery or the winery over there? We had a rental of the party trailer in like early February, I think. So they rented it for some stuff they were doing over there, so we're open to rent it all year.
And then I got another question. North Avenue is a state street. Why does the state not maintain that, or? Good question.
Good question, yeah. It's, I think the land is, I don't know the full story. I think in part the land is leased to the village and it's.
So our
maintenance is on
responsibility.
The city, so we handle that maintenance. And we used to do it with staff and it was cumbersome and unsafe at times, being in the roadways and things, so we had to find unique times to do it, so it's been more helpful having a contractor do it and them able to get out there.
And then, you said the grass mowing, they started grass mowing today, I swear, at Lufkin. But once they put in the new path, are they gonna replace the grass that seems like it never took from last year?
Hopefully it will take, but yeah, I think we can talk with Public Works and the county and see if they have some continued maintenance that they'll do out there. Honestly, once we start the pathway out there, we're gonna disturb quite a bit of it.
Right, so it would be,
We'll
wouldn't be
work to
prudent
restore
to.
anything that we impact as well as we come around and make that path, so.
Okay, that's all I have.
I have one more. I have one more if I can add it to the list. I stopped over at the Historical Museum a day or so ago, and if we're out trimming bushes and we are able to do so, there's quite a large bush on the west side, right up against the building, that is quite a bit in excess of the gutter, the top gutters. And if we could take that bush down, they would be very appreciative of doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I have one question about the pool. I know last year there was like one of the lanes had to get shut down because there was some concrete deterioration. It's kind of sharp right there. I know it was fixed. Is that a permanent fix or was that just a temporary fix that year?
It was a temporary fix, yeah.
Okay.
There's a few sections of that lip that have fallen off again over winter. So
Okay.
we'll go through and each season we kind of make those concrete repairs, so yeah.
Okay, so the permanent fix is going to happen
When
pre-season?
we get the liner.
We hope it
That's
is
the-
as.
So, yeah, that's good, yeah. good
That's the
point.
permanent fix, technically, right?
Technically.
We're hopeful that the concrete will last many seasons, but at least get us through the season. The lip has been the most problematic usually.
Right.
So it's, yeah, we're hopeful that it'll get us through enough,
Till the liner, whenever that comes.
yes.
Thank
Well,
you. Oh,
Aren't we, we're pretty sure that we'll get the liner in the fall?
Liner is intended to be installed prior to 2025 season. So I'm still in the process of working through some things with various contractors and getting proposals and things for that. But the intent is to have it installed before 2025 pool season.
So whatever deterioration you're able to fix has to be this, hopefully last just 1 year.
You know, it was, I had talked with somebody at conference, and I told them about all the concrete issues we've had and things like that. We'll do all the work, and do they have to do anything? And he said, basically that if we can ensure that it's as smooth as we want it, once they put it in, it's gonna stay. Like the shell will get hard enough where even if something falls out in the bottom, we won't even notice it.
Okay.
That was pretty awesome because
That would be pretty
we've had concrete issues and that
Yeah.
was a big thing for us, so.
Another question, are they finished with the shelter? I haven't been able to walk over there because it's been kind of mucky. And I can't see it from the road, but, I mean, I can see it from the road, but I can't really up close. So is that is it all done or pretty much
Are
done?
you going into Lufkin now?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Norm.
Whenever Sam's ready to get into the unfinished
Yeah,
business.
so yeah, let's
I
go.
got put on the Lufkin, on the grass path, and I'm thinking we're on Lufkin. I'm sorry, that's my error.
That's probably a good cue to
It's a
move
nice,
to unfinished.
transition.
A nice segue. So to unfinished business and a Lufkin Park update.
Okay, yeah, and obviously in Greg's absence, he asked us to provide some updates, so we'll try our best while he's away.
We'll try
So,
not to
yeah.
grill you too hard then.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yes, over at Lufkin Park, the shelter building, all the materials for the shelter building have arrived, and they are working and have begun construction on that main building. So, yeah, they're full speed ahead, yeah. The weather's nice, it's helping them out, they've done a lot, they're trying to clean things up from all the rain that we've had. It was really muddy out there, I was out there on, I think, Monday, but, yeah, so they're going, that they have everything they need for that building, so it should come up, and I talked with them, and they said even by the end of April, it should look like most things out there, so. But yeah, that's that. The playground, I mean, obviously, we've seen before, but it's fully installed now. Everything is set. They installed all the stone base that's in there, and they're preparing for the installation of the turf safety surface. And that's anticipated for next week. That turf will be kind of like the playground that's here at Iowa, that style of turf. They're also, contractors grading out the area and excavating to install the splash pad, starting, they're hopeful to start that this week. So they have all the materials for that as well. When I was out there on Monday, they were also excavating that site to start beginning install. So they're gonna work to get all the pieces in and then the concrete kind of set for that splash pad too. So they're starting that this week. And then the performance shelter is installed, all the concrete's done, and then they actually put in all the stonework in the front of the performance shelter, so looks nice. There'll be a lot of grading that they'll have to finish out around that thing, but it's coming along very well out there.
Questions? Don?
I'd just like to comment, someone was on social media and said, oh, there's no parks by my house in Villa Park, and I was thinking, God, you can walk within 6 blocks and there's a park in Villa Park, but I didn't know what she was talking about, so I kind of pumped that Lufkin was opening, and it was at Ardmore and Jackson, because maybe she was new, I don't know. But the ninja course and the playground and the band shelter are just looking awesome. I can't wait for the path and all that to go in. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really cool park. It is a really cool park. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Any other questions? Right, the Lions Rec Center update?
All right, I think Greg mentioned at the last meeting, the electrical contractor had defaulted, or they went out of business. So the village, it started going after the second lowest responsible bid, which was I believe also was at the board meeting last night, for the contract for that other electrical contractor, which I've heard was approved as well.
It was.
So the village is working to move as quickly as we can with all parties to get them on site so it doesn't impact the construction progress. I think they're at a point right now where that, it's not really going to affect anything, but if it goes another couple of weeks, it will, because there's a lot of undergrounding for some of the electric that goes in the main buildings that they're getting ready for slabs and stuff like that, so. But if it was approved yesterday, so it sounds like we'll still be on track to complete everything as intended, so.
So that contractor agreed to use the bid number that they bid back when we were accepting bids. So that was about 50,000, 51,000 maybe, higher than the lowest bid. But it was great that they agreed to, not change that dollar amount. And the village, my understanding is, any additional monies, in addition to what the original bid was, would be covered by the bond that the first contractor had to get in order to secure
Okay,
the job. So
Yeah.
I think at this point, as of yesterday, we were waiting for the electrician that's going out of business to actually put that they were not going to be able to complete the job in writing. That has to happen before the village can move on it. It's my understanding, so.
Questions, Donna?
I got a question, I don't know if it can be answered. The union was supposed to go in and give us the 100 spots additional to our recreation center.
It's not, it's not just us, it's,
Well, I mean, that area,
Yeah.
but for our overflow and that, we were gonna kind of see how it went to see if we need additional parking. I want to say it was on the east side. Do we know when the union project is gonna start for that absorbing?
Approximately June.
Okay. So then they're kind of within 6 months of, so we don't have to jump right away. If we need additional parking, we can kind of see how it goes before we have to make the decision for additional
I
parking.
think that agreement was still in place where they would provide that for us.
Right.
One way or the other. But yeah, I think right now, what I've heard is they're anticipated to begin in June. And that's like the start of demo and things like that. Prep the site, demo, prepare the site, and then work to start.
Okay, thank you.
Christine?
What is the total budget for the rec center, and how much, if any, of that is being paid for with residents' tax dollars?
Like,
Well, we know we
Beginning
got the
to
$10
end,
million
all-
grant. Is that covering all of it, or where are we with the budget? And if we exceeded that, by how much? And I would anticipate that whatever it's been exceeded by would be coming out of one of our village budget pools.
so the village, for the first 7.5 million over the 10 million,
We had to match a certain amount.
well, we,
Yeah, right.
they sold bonds for that, right?
correct.
So the total budget, above and beyond the 17.5, that's when we got to that position where we were talking about having to make the building a little bit smaller and not being able to do quite as much. I don't remember what the total dollar figure was. I want to say it's around 19 to 20 million,
I think it
right?
was approximately 20.5 million.
Okay. So, there's a lot of different ways that the village was able to come up with the funding for that. None of it is coming from taxpayer dollars, though. I mean, it's not, we're not increasing, real estate taxes
Oh,
in
no,
order
no,
to pay that
no.
back.
No, I don't believe that to be true. Maybe at the next meeting, we can have a breakdown of what the total is, because there are a lot of variables, and several of them have changed. Because now we also have another grant, if I'm understanding that correctly.
For the outside.
So,
When you ask about totals, you want a breakdown of like, what is the construction cost? What is the cost for the architect? What is the
no,
cost?
no. It wasn't my intention to get into that level of detail. Just from a high-level perspective, my question was, did we have enough money with the grant money and the matching money to cover the entire project? Or were we having to budget ancillary dollars out of anything that is paid for out of taxpayers'
So
money?
the residents of Villa Park taxes were not impacted by the
No, and
construction.
I didn't believe that they would be, but the money that's in some of those budgets, I would anticipate would have come from some of the taxes.
Yeah, the village in
In the
part
past.
funds
Right.
projects and takes on things by tax dollars. We're
Right.
Part of tax from that, so I don't, that would be a question for our finance department, is portions of that, like the 1% that comes from cannabis.
Right.
That tax from that, I don't know the exact dollar amount
No,
either
I
of
don't
that went into the rec center either.
And that's not all residents. I mean, anytime you're talking
No.
about sales tax,
Sales tax,
that could be
yes.
non-resident
Correct.
money as well.
Yeah,
But there was, it's costing more than what we initially thought. So, the village had to be creative. We had built up quite a few days of reserve that was just sitting there. So, we didn't need all of that, sitting there. So I know that there was some of that was used to pay part of the debt. With regard to the other grant, that project, if I'm not mistaken, is a $1.2 million project outside. The pickleball and basketball, landscaping, and that was a matching grant. So the state awarded us $600,000, and we have to, the village has to match it with $600,000. So that's to, have all the amenities outside, which, quite honestly, without that, no matter how wonderful the building was, it would have, it would have looked like it was lacking without having, those amenities outside taken care of. And there's some really nice things that are going in, so. So just so I understand for next meeting, would you like the finance director or somebody at his folks to come up with the actual dollars above and beyond the initial 17.5 million for the building and where the money is coming from?
That would be a good thing to have, but I don't want, it was not my intention to get extraordinarily granular with it. So as far as architects and the nits and nats are concerned, it wasn't my intention to get in that level of detail. I was just interested in knowing the entire project, how, similar to what you just stated with respect to the 1.2 million and the 600K in the matching, that's perfect. So, but the rec center's a whole different sub-project as far as that's concerned, and I would be curious to know where we ended up with the entire budget. And were we able, what did the grant cover, how much did we match, and is there another variable financially that we had to integrate funding from, and where did it come from?
Just in part, that they build in monies into that dollar amount in case unexpected things happen. So there have been a couple times now throughout the process where, we realized that we had more than what we needed. So that then brings that down, and you're not, expending those dollars. So I'll talk to the finance director and kind of tell him what you're interested in and see if we can come up with something a little more specific, but not too specific, is what I'm hearing you
I don't
say.
think we need to go into an extraordinary detail on it, because
If I may,
there are,
I think what we're asking for is just, what was the original budget? What is the current forecasted budget? How much is paid by grants? How much is paid by the planned budget? And if there was overages, which there always are, how are those paid?
exactly. Well said.
Okay,
So I think it's, just trying to, I think that's kind of what we're looking for.
so, and you would like that to be reported at the May meeting? Is that, yes?
Yeah, next meeting.
That
if
would
it's
be
the-
fine.
Yeah.
We don't need to
If
before
that's,
then for certain, yeah.
Okay, sure.
And I'm sorry, I had a few more for the rec center.
Okay,
That was the
sorry,
first one that
we got
spurred
we got
all of it.
distracted,
Yes,
yeah.
I apologize.
No worries.
The contractors are also out there working to install the roofing sections on the building. They're trying to work as quick as they can to enclose the building. So once they can enclose it, then they can start installing HVAC equipment, which we have waiting somewhere for us, which is awesome, because usually you have to wait forever for them. But once they can get the roof built and everything on, then they can set the HVAC equipment, they can start doing all of that. Once they can start moving forward with that, it'll expedite a lot of things. Exterior framing of the main building, the metal section, if you're looking at it, not the precast, is beginning, or they are beginning. They're working to grade and prepare to pour concrete slab for the main building. So right now, that is just grading the stone and compacting everything to prepare it for concrete. And then the gym, they're working to finalize a bunch of things in the gym, fully enclose that, pull all their equipment out, and then they'll do the same prep for that base in that building as I keep calling them two buildings, but they put them up separately. But yeah, they'll have them both prepared the same and then work to those, so. That was all I had, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Now it's open.
Okay, any other questions before we move on to new business? Yep, Donna?
When you went to the conference, and I know grants usually don't come out till June, like the dollar amounts and the terms and all that, have you heard anything on what grants are gonna be available this year? You know, are they gonna do it where, wasn't it, last year it was like 600 versus 400, the last couple grants? Do you know if they're still moving forward with that, or is it gonna go back down? No one knows
I
until
haven't heard
June.
anything about like changes in amounts and like we didn't know the last time it was gonna go to 6 either.
Yeah, so that was one of the changes. The OSLAD grant that we just were awarded, that is typically 400,000, a 400,000 matching grant, if I'm not mistaken, and they upped that to 600.
So we don't know until they release it, like sometime
know.
in June?
It could stay the same at 6 and or they could drop it to 4. It really depends on the budget that they have to
Right.
distribute to everyone.
Okay.
Aside from the electrician issues, like how is everything going in terms of, you know, like the schedule? Is it just generally speaking
good.
for both projects?
Yeah, I
You know,
think-
are we on like, have there been major hiccups? Are we, you know, a week or two behind or?
No, so in looking at it, lost days due to weather right now sits at about 28, which sounds like a lot, about a month, you know?
Yeah.
But in talking with them, the days that we've lost, they're confident that they can make that back with the changes that they made in the progress. And days that they lost, they came back and they found ways to work on other things that kept them on progress, on track. So even though there's that number, they still feel confident that we're on the same timeline to complete as we were before.
And the same thing with Lufkin, that's on track?
Yep,
Okay.
Lovegood is going good too. So yeah, we're still late spring, early summer. Hopeful that it'll be
Yeah.
late spring. We'll get it done as soon as we can, but
Yeah.
I don't want to
I feel like Lufkin is way ahead of the game because of the nice weather we've had. Seems like that is just,
We're going to be rushing behind them, I'm sure, to complete the
Yeah.
pathway. But
Yeah.
we're doing all we can to get that done early to get it working, make sure things operate correctly and there's no issues and stuff, so.
I got a question too, with the path, are they going to have a bridge over where the water comes in from the sewers, where it's all rocks? Are they gonna,
So again, what is that, what, Leslie Lane back there?
that's Rand,
Rand, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Near that side over there.
that would be like on the southwest side?
Southwest corner.
Where the drain and the water actually comes into the pond, where it's been expanded on the west side?
We will see, yeah. We'll see what we could do over there. I know that was the initial discussion when we had it, was kind of creating that boardwalk kind of across that. It's since changed from contractor to us installing the path, so I don't know if we're still intending to do that or if we're going to try to run the pathway around it some other way.
Or perhaps do like a rail like you did that beautiful rail by the park on High Ridge?
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
bridge over there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
that one turned out beautiful. That looked like it came out of Vogue magazine.
Yeah, and it could be that we run the limestone path around to complete it, and that we work to install a bridge or a walk-through, you know, in the future or something like that, but we'll have to look, but I think right now it was intended to be limestone throughout, so.
Yeah, because I mean, there't huge boulders in there from the,
We won't have you walk over them, I promise.
No, she's just getting
Kids
her
playing
foot back.
Any other questions before we move on?
oh,
New business, the rec center naming discussion.
So, you know, for a while, we were hoping that we would have a donor that wanted to give us a lot of money, and then we would name the building after them.
Right.
But we haven't had anyone come in where the Board of Trustees felt comfortable naming the building. So now, we're making, you know, progress, and every, you know, different staff and different contractors are doing things, and we're advertising it, and we're putting it on Facebook and so forth, but every time we would read about it, it was called something different, the building itself. So staff felt that we needed to, you know, decide what we're going to call it and then keep calling it the same name. So we thought this would be a great place to start. You know, we have three options that we think are very, two are very, very usable, one is a maybe. So we've talked about Lions Park Recreation Center, Villa Park Recreation Center, and then the Recreation Center at Lions Park. Those are the three that the staff have talked about. And we're sort of hoping that the commission has a
Can you,
feeling of which direction they want to go. I'm
can you
sorry.
repeat the last one?
The Recreation Center at Lions Park. Part also, one of the reasons why we want to, you know, get this nailed down is because we have to put the name of the building on the side of the building as part of, you know, the construction. So we're meeting with, you know, the architects and discussing that and, you know, how we're going to light it up at night, but we can't actually move forward with it until we know exactly what we're calling the building. So, any and all comments are welcome. Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment and provide my input based on the three that you've stated. Although, I guess, one comment that I would make is I'd like to keep the topic of discussion open for additional input that we might get from other venues. And I know Commissioner Tucker is unfortunately saddened that she wasn't able to be here to be part of the conversation, because I know she would like to provide input as well. So hopefully there's room for a few more, if there's some way to communicate or define where you would like to get the input from. You know, do you want the commissioners to provide you, if we go home tonight and come up with some rockin' idea, is there still room to add more to the list to be choosing from? And I know that Commissioner Tucker would like to.
Well, we
to weigh
would,
in.
I mean, it's not, we're not in a position to say, sorry, you have to choose from these three and
Right.
that's it. These are the three
Right.
that the staff have come up with, and I thought we thought it was a good place to start.
Well, and I'm going to chime in and say that I'm leaning right now toward the third one, but I would like for it to say Villa Park Rec Center at Lions Park, which is kind of a combination of the other two.
That's a lot.
That's wordy.
How big is the
Well-
building?
Lions, to do it Lions, to just put the Lions in there and then advertise it somewhere outside of Villa Park, then they're going to say Lions is a city. So then Lions becomes an issue. Villa Park Rec Center is okay. I don't have a problem with it, but I thought, it was my understanding, and it could be a misunderstanding, that I had heard comments such that it had to have Lions Park in it because that property was donated from the Lions.
My understanding is that we are under no requirement to have Lions in the name of the building. The park is still Lions Park.
Okay,
The building, because if we would have had a donor that came in with,
Right.
the right amount of money, we would have called it after, Lions wouldn't have been in that name.
I have a
So-
question.
I personally think, no offense at all.
I'm not taking it personally.
Villa Park Recreation Center at Lions Park, that's a lot of words.
Well, and maybe because we are calling Lions Park, that weighs into it as well. So if Lions Park is still going to be Lions Park, then it wouldn't be a problem to have the rec center just be the Villa Park Rec Center.
Okay, anybody else?
Michael had
Yeah.
a question.
She could have answered my question. It's still called the Lions Park.
Yeah.
So she,
It's-
I think the
Yeah.
second one's good,
Sorry.
based on that.
I'm sorry,
The second
oh, the second one, you like the Villa Park Recreation Center,
Yeah, it says the park is still called,
Lions Park, okay, gotcha, okay.
third one's too long.
Yeah.
Well, the Recreation Center at Lions Park is less words than Villa Park Recreation Center at Lions
Oh,
Park,
this-
but I understand, I understand where you're coming from.
I'd
Okay.
say- Oh, I thought the second one was,
The
Yeah, I
second
thought
one
it
is
was Villa Park.
Villa Park Recreation Center.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
One of the suggestions was what, the Villa Park Recreation Center at Lions Park was,
Was
Chris-
But
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
prior to the discussion and confirmation that Lions Park is still going to be called Lions Park.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if that being the case, if we feel like Villa Park Recreation Center at Lions Park is a mouthful, then I would just suggest Villa Park Recreation Center, and again, Lions Park Rec Center has a few concerns from my perspective, because there is a town called Lions, and while we in Villa Park are familiar with what Lions Park is, if for some reason we are looking to encourage people outside of our own town, Lions Park might be confusing, because it's my understanding there is a town called Lions, isn't there?
There is.
there is,
Yeah.
spelled different, but
Yeah.
yes.
Or
Lion-
the Lions Club may have another park.
A
maybe
recreation
in
center.
Yeah, they may have a recreation center somewhere in another village, whether it's southern Illinois or western Illinois or a nearby.
And there's a Villa Park, California, too. We ran into that.
Yes, there is.
With when we were doing the Candyland,
Yes.
So we are most I'd like to continue the conversation to make sure there's no other parameters that we have to meet, or are we pretty much solidly, I just don't want us to get all excited about naming something and then we get a caveat thrown at us that we have to have, X, Y, or Z.
I have
So
not heard that we're required to use lines in it. I'm thinking it makes the most sense to either have Villa Park in the name or Lions Park in the name, so, but I don't know that there's, we probably, I'm not aware of any other caveat.
I'm leaning towards the Villa Park Recreation Center because our residents have earned this. And they should be proud of their town. And at some point, they're going to pay to either staff it or, some of their dollars somewhere along the line went towards that rec center. And it's something for us to be proud of, and we should stand tall and put Villa Park's name first. And if people are looking for, they're going through the phone book and not the phone book, but Google. Boy, I'm dating myself. But I mean, like, if they wanted,
Google it.
like, if you want to call the Villa Park Library, I don't go to the Library of Villa Park. I go to Villa Park Library and Google that. So if they want to know where the rec center is, they're going to Google Villa Park Recreation Center. Keep it simple.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing too is we haven't had anything with Villa Park in it, because Iowa was Iowa, And the other building didn't have Villa Park in it either, so it is, I think.
What was the
it was
one that we
kinda
tore
cool.
down? What was that called?
Community Recreation Building. Didn't have Villa Park in it.
So I think it's kind of cool to have Villa Park in it.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
I like the second option too.
Okay.
It's a winner, you picked a winner.
So one of the things, I actually like the second one as well.
Sure.
I know Cheryl couldn't be
I'm
here
sorry,
today.
Mike, what were you saying, something?
I was just saying, keep it short and simple.
Yeah.
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 Sure. One of the, I think, the concerns that Cheryl raised, and I think it's a good point, was, we want to make sure we get community input on this. And if we have like a short list of things we think it might be, is there any chance of running like an online poll? And see if we get, the community to input and choose that way. I
Can't answer that question, but I can look into it and get back to you.
Well, no worries, that's just, one of the, I'm not sure what concerns Cheryl actually wanted to raise, and maybe,
So you're saying if we had it limited to, say, 2 options? if
two
we
or three,
put that out
whatever,
there
whatever the
on-
short list is, and then just put out at the normal means of communication, sending out an email or whatever, and say, hey, we're voting on the name of the new rec center, here are your 3 options, pick one.
I mean, it seems like something we might be able to do. My feeling is I don't want to slow down the process of getting the name picked, so I don't want this to go out.
That's, yeah,
you know,
I'm not sure what technical platforms we have to do that. I mean, you can pay someone like SurveyMonkey or whatever.
Oh,
to do
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
right.
Or you can just, I don't know, you can do it in a Twitter poll or something, but I think that would be relatively quick. But I thought that might be kind of fun, and I think we can't let people just put in their own names, or we're gonna have Bodie McBoat Face Rec Center or something. But
Well,
if
they
we
can
had a
put it
short
in,
list,
it just won't get.
which would be
picked
cool.
for
But
everybody.
anyway, but yeah, I would say if we had a short list, whatever we decide it to be, that's maybe one way of getting community input other than, because anything else, I think will even take longer than that. If we start having we're gonna have 3 meetings next month to talk about, that maybe take too long and not meet our, because we gotta let them know, the people in hard hats, what to put on the building. So.
Right, exactly. We have to tie that up, and I would like for us all to be, when I say all, the village staff to be consistent in how we're referring to the building
Right.
with all these milestones that we're reaching.
Right.
You
Well, I
know.
think, yeah, it seems like this group is thinking number 2.
Yeah.
Or the Villa Park
See,
Rec
my
Center.
thought is, your group, and Don, I know you have a comment, and we're gonna go right to it after I say this. By having a Park and Recreation Advisory Commission, you are the voices
Yeah.
of the
That's true.
community. That's what you represent the people who live in Villa Park. So, we just put, we put this on the agenda, so you've only known about us, the discussion since Friday. If you want to go out and talk to, your neighbors and people that you think would, and then bring back the information that you're receiving, you're the community. That's, and we trust that, that's what you're doing. You're bringing back what, if I counted, I can't tell you how many times someone has said, I've had somebody ask me, I had a neighbor comment on, and that's what you're here, that's what your role is. And so, don't underestimate that
Okay,
in
that-
terms
that's
of,
fair.
but I don't have, we could probably put something out there. This is what I'm thinking. So the village manager told the Board of Trustees last night that this was going to be discussed today. So,
So we can't wait till next month, is what you're saying?
no,
Greg said
no,
we
what
could.
I'm,
Greg said we could in his response to Cheryl. I'd like.
I'm
That's
just
fair.
saying
Yeah, you're
that
right.
if we're gonna go a route where we're gonna now do a survey, I believe we have to go back to the board and say, okay, well, the Park and Recreation Commission wants us to do a survey.
Well,
You know what I mean?
That's just
So-
an idea I had. It is
Well,
not
no,
a,
I'm just saying that there's a process to that, that's all.
so we'd have to wait until the next meeting of the board, go back to the board, present it, get approval to do that, and then do that?
Unless, you know, the village manager can just say, no, you know, go ahead and do it now, or what have you. I'm not aware of that. But the village board is under the impression that it was going to be discussed today, and then a recommendation was going to be made. That's the way I understood when I was watching the meeting, when I heard the village manager say. But we can always, you know, we don't have to decide tonight. You can go out and talk to neighbors, talk to your friends, hear what, you know, let us know what you're hearing, and, you
So
know,
when do we have to, when does a recommendation has to be made to the board?
well, you know, the sooner the recommendation is made, the sooner the building has a name, that everybody's calling it the same thing. So, you know, I would try, I'd love to be able to, you know, wrap it up in a month, you know.
Okay.
I know Greg said, you know, we could, so that Cheryl could.
Decision would be
yeah,
next
that-
month.
Yeah,
That's like the only, like, we're all on the same page. But in that email that Cheryl sent out saying she wasn't gonna be here, I just wanna, like, respect
Yes, of
what she
course.
said, because Greg said that. So if, like,
Sure.
if we could, like, just get her opinion, because if, like, what if she comes back and she says the exact same thing? There's no need to talk about this again next month, because most of us are agreeing on literally the exact same thing, so.
certainly, if that is the direction that the commission would like us to take, we can, you know, send an email to Cheryl and let her know that the group liked.
We could just let her know the
I don't
three
know,
options.
You know what, I didn't hear from Sarah, do you?
No, I like Villa Park
Recreation Center, okay. And you like Villa Park Recreation Center as well. Originally, you said at Lions Park, but then I believe you said since the park is going to be called Lions Park, it doesn't have to be in the title. Is that what you said?
That's what I said, exactly. And the flip side of the coin is that, while I always encourage additional input, then you're opening us up to adversarial comments with respect to, why did you ask me if you aren't going to name it what I recommended? So while, you know, there's a lot to be considered with that, be prepared, because you will get a lot of people coming up with a variety of alternatives, and then you're open and susceptible to the, if you're not going to name it what I voted on, then don't ask for my opinion.
Sometimes that happens.
I mean, it's pretty basic. I don't know how you could not like Villa Park Recreation Center. It's not like we
But someone
came up
will.
with.
It's not rocket
It's okay.
science.
You know,
It's not
yeah,
like,
it's
you know,
not
we're
like we
doing
came
the
up with
rolling
it.
Rs and naming it the Racanelli Rock and Recreation Center.
There you
know.
go.
We could.
I-
I'll
you know,
vote for that.
My
Yeah.
plan is to win the lottery,
And then, yeah.
and be able to build a new pool and have that, have my last name in it.
They're going to have to fight John Burns on that one.
I know,
She's
I
already got
told
the
her that
budget
maybe
going.
we could do it together if she really, really wanted.
I think from a practical perspective, you know, we're having discussions tonight, and kind of like what the board does sometimes.
Yeah,
Discussion
sure.
tonight, we'll vote at the next meeting.
I think
Is
that's,
that, and
that's
that gives
fine.
a chance to take in Cheryl's
Yeah, let's give-
input.
right.
And it gives us a chance to sort of canvass our neighbors and friends and family in the,
Yeah,
in the town to figure out if they have, maybe someone has a brilliant idea that it needs to be, I don't know what it'd be, but maybe someone has a brilliant idea.
Yes, we don't have to make a decision tonight in terms of, you know, making a recommendation to the board. I just, Greg and I talked, you know, we both felt that we could still talk about it even though one of our commissioners wasn't here, and just like have it out there and, you know, just
Get the
bounce
balls in
ideas.
the- Get the balls in the air.
Yeah,
no,
bounce
that sounds
ideas
right.
off of each other, and then, you know, we can wrap it up maybe at the next meeting. If that, and
Perfect.
then, that gives you guys time to talk to, you know, the
People.
stakeholders.
Yeah.
Donna,
Another question, you said no donors came in with, what, they came in with a reasonable amount.
I didn't say reasonable, I said no, to
Nothing
my
about
knowledge, that
substance.
no donors came in with a dollar amount that the Board of Trustees would be comfortable with naming the building after
Are-
that donor.
Are those donors available by name or,
I don't have that information, I'm sorry.
okay.
I just know that any of the donors that they talked with were not coming in at a high enough dollar amount that the board felt comfortable accepting that and naming the building.
And did they say what their comfort level was?
Not to me.
Okay. And how are we doing with like, sponsorships and stuff like that?
There have been some discussions about smaller types of sponsorships, like inside the building, maybe naming possibly the track or possibly a scoreboard or something like that. Again, I don't, and we're working with the same group that, High Level Promotions, but I don't know that they have settled on anything at this point.
And do they kind of, you know, like if someone wants to name a basketball court and they come in with $10,000, do they kind of have a process of saying, no, I think that donation should be more, or do they,
Well,
do they try and go for like a higher bid?
I think High Level Promotions, tries to be,
They know what they can, basically, do they know what they can get? Like what,
well, I think they have a better idea now, actually, after going through some of this and having, dollars come in and the Board of Trustees saying, the High Level presented at least one business that wanted to have naming rights. And I don't know if it was only one, I'm not positive.
Sure.
And the Board of Trustees said, no, it's not enough money to do that. So I think High Level Promotions now has an idea of what they're looking for.
like a standard is?
It's hard to say standard. So, there were some businesses that came in with other facilities in a lot more money, but they're in places where there's a lot more traffic and a larger population, and, that all plays a role. So you have to sort
So
of,
they kind of have a feel that if someone comes in with X amount of dollars, it's comparable to something that's bigger.
I don't think High Level wants to turn anyone away. I think what they're doing is they're bringing any
Any players to the game and
to,
then,
to,
and then we
to the
decide.
village, and then, leaving that with the village to make a decision.
Well, they get paid a percentage, so they'll present everything.
Yeah.
And it's up to the board to say yea or nay.
30%?
Yeah, so they take a percentage of whatever they sell, so they have an incentive to negotiate up as much as they can.
Right.
And then take
Right.
it to the board and let the board decides ultimately.
But if the board says no, then they go back to player one, potentially.
I would assume,
That's probably how they would,
I would assume.
okay.
but- All right. Anything else on the naming discussion? We'll table that, I guess, until the vote
It's
next
just a
meeting.
discussion, so we didn't have to,
Should
we don't have
we-
to do anything
Right.
right now. But we have an idea of, you guys are going to talk to some of, the residents, the stakeholders in the community. I will go back and, do you want me to pursue a survey?
No.
I don't know if, I would maybe just, it looks like no, everybody else shaking their head, so no.
Okay, so then, then it really is you guys talking to, your folks, and hopefully we'll be able to then make a decision at the May meeting to then make a recommendation to the village board at the meeting following the second Tuesday of May,
Excellent.
which unfortunately is, unless it's a weird month, they meet on the second Tuesday, and then we meet on the second Monday, then we meet on the second Tuesday, and then they don't meet again until the 4th. But, sorry, as I'm saying that, they changed around the meeting schedule for May because of Memorial Day. So I think they're meeting on
The week
on the
before.
third Monday
Instead of
That
the
would be
fourth.
convenient.
instead of the 4th, because the 4th would be Memorial Day. So
Okay,
that
it's
might
a little
work
better.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments on the naming discussion before we move to the next item on the agenda?
How are we gonna relay this to Cheryl?
I would anticipate that she's probably watching, and she has
Yes.
the
Okay,
ability
perfect.
Yeah, she's
to
probably.
watch.
Cheryl doesn't miss a
Either that
beat.
or she'll be
No, yeah.
texting me. I can
Well, and I
guarantee it.
will,
Yeah, the chicks.
I'll touch base with Greg and, ask him if he'd like me to send her an email, or if he wants to reach out to her. personally to let her know kind of where.
Anyone can respond to the chain, I guess. We can
Yeah.
update her that way on the email chain. I think she sent it to everyone. So, okay, excellent.
But it will happen. She'll get the information. Who
If she
asked
doesn't
that?
already have it.
I asked that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely make sure that we send it off to her.
Anything else before we move on? All right, thank you. All right, public comments on non-agenda items. There is no public tonight. Commissioner comments. Ryan, have any comments?
Oh, great meeting, everyone.
Christine?
The next date I have on my calendar is this Thursday, the 11th, would be our senior birthday bingo lunch. That's what I have on my calendar, and it was a great meeting, so thank you to everyone.
Donna?
Just a reminder about the commissioners' dinner on Friday, if anyone's going this Friday, at 6:30.
Yep. Thank you for that call out. I'm looking forward to it. It's always good.
My husband actually had to call it out to me because it was not on my phone calendar, it was on my paper calendar, because he said, "What time is our dinner on Friday?" And I said, "What dinner?" He said, "Don't we have the commissioners' dinner?" And I'm like, okay, I gotta go back on my emails, and it was there, otherwise I would have totally missed it.
Sarah?
Great meeting, and I would like to put out there if there's a way to meet at one of our project sites with the nicer weather. I would love to see one of those in the next coming months.
Okay.
Mike?
Just see everyone next month.
Thank you. All right. Get everybody? I skipped someone last month, so I'm. Okay, moving on to chairman comments.
Wait, Chris, did you make a comment?
We did, me.
I did,
Okay,
yeah, I know, I
okay,
skipped
cool.
her, because I went through like, down the row, and I had to skip to the other side. So now I'm just going through the list backwards. 'Cause I don't. Anyway, sorry. No, I have no comments, otherwise, great meeting, just, it's just great to see all these projects coming to fruition finally, and that's pretty awesome.
It's exciting.
Village staff comments.
Echo what you have said, to see all these things happening, it's very exciting. I may have said this before, I never imagined in all the years I worked here that we would be building a rec center. And, the pool at Lufkin would be gone, and we'd be building a park that is, such a credit to the community. It's just very exciting, and I'm really proud to be part of it. And I really appreciate everybody's time and energy to come out here and, volunteer and attend these meetings. And, you guys, it seems to us that you really, really care, and that feels really good. So, thank you.
Ditto.
Very
Ditto.
well said. Very well said.
All right, excellent. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second? Oh, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Silence. All right, excellent. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll work on getting the